direction. So how do you know what's cranial on the probe? Just put some gel and put your finger and then you actually see the movement in real time. If you want to know what's cranial, put some gel on the probe and put your finger there. Now the reason why that's important is because if you're doing echo, they turn their probe backwards. We don't scan because we're going over a large area. So all you need to do then is put some gel on the edge of the probe and put your finger. If where you see that movement is caudal, then you know that's the caudal part of the probe. Everybody got that? Understand that? We'll practice on that on Saturday. Okay, and you need some type of recording system. And these paper, you get a paper printer, they are very cheap now, because some owners, when you're doing an exam, like to have a copy of something that you see that's abnormal, so you can sit home like them, with them. But you also need something to record in medical records. So usually it's with a system maintaining or keeping the recording of that particular exam. Okay, so on this probe, from this probe, in the way that this person is holding it like a pencil, then this is cranial, this is the diaphragm, this bright line, and then what's next to it is the gallbladder, and what's surrounding it is the liver. So then this person, when it's holding the probe, is moving cranial, that part should correlate with what's cranial on the animal. Okay. So, if you're scanning in dorsal recumbency, so what's close to the probe is what we're going to refer to as near field. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So then the image of the beam is going from ventral to the dorsal. And so what you see in the far field are going to be structures that's located ventrally. So on the image, if I'm going to look at the cava vena cava, I'm going to look in the far field. If I'm going to look at something superficial like the falciform ligament, then I'm going to be looking in the near field. So now that's ventrodorsal. Switch it to lateral. Switch it to lateral, right lateral recumbency, for example. So then when you put your probe on the left side, what you see on the left side are structures are going to be where? In the near field. What you see on the right side is going to be in the far field. Everybody got that? No. Okay, place your pet in right lateral recumbency. If the pet is in right lateral recumbency, what side of the pet would the probe be on? Okay, so where the left side of the structure is going to be located? Where the right side of the structure is going to be located? Okay. Okay, terminology. Terminology on its own, because now you're talking about sound, movement of sound. So when we see something bright on the image, it's what we refer to as echogenic. So if you see, I see an echogenic area in the midfield, or echogenic area in the far field, echogenic area far field left, or far field caudal. So you're describing the location on the image. Hyperechoic means that it's more brighter than normal. More brighter than normal. So if you have the liver with its normal echogenicity or normal parenchyma, and if it's brighter than normal, you wouldn't say echogenic. You would say it's hyperechoic, because it's a comparison term. If the structure is darker than it should be, then you would use the term hypoechoic. Now on a radiograph, you would be saying what? Lucid, right? But that's X-rays. Now we talked about sound. And isoechoic Anechoic means that you have structures adjacent to each other of the same echogenicity. Anechoic means there are no internal echoes, or there's a small number of internal echoes. So structure that is fluid filled, anechoic, no echoes, anechoic. So it is very dark on the image. So those are your terms, 5 terms. Echogenic, hyper, hypo, iso, ana. So that's how you're going to describe what you see on the image. So this is a schematic of increasing echogenicity and decreasing echogenicity. I don't want you to memorize all of those. You see, it's like a grayscale. I don't want you, but this is what I want you to know. SLK, slick, SLK. Spleen is more hyperechoic than liver, and liver is more hyperechoic than kidney. That's your normal parameters. All the other structures fit somewhere in between. SLK. In some cases, the renal cortex is isoechoic to the liver. So if you happen to see that, that will be considered normal as well. SLK. SLK. Spleen more hyperechoic than liver, liver more hyperechoic than renal cortex. Near field, you see that's where the probe is placed. So if I want to find the neck of the urinary bladder, this is what it is, the urinary bladder. If I want to find the neck of the urinary bladder, I will move my probe in which direction? Artifacts, artifacts, artifacts. You need to know these 4 artifacts. Because when you look at an image, all you're going to see is dark and bright. That's all you're going to see. So you got to determine if you're looking at something that is dense or something that is not so dense. And so we depend on these artifacts to assist us. Acoustic shadowing. You're going to see a dark streak from an area that is mineralized, very dense, like bone, calculi in the gallbladder, calculi in the urinary bladder. So when the ultrasound waves hit it, if there is too dense to go on beneath it, it just returns back to the probe with no information. So we see that as a bright area with the streak. Far field enhancement is a hyperechoic area distant to an anechoic area, like the urinary bladder. So the reason why I know that this is anechoic because I see all this brightness. See this brightness in the far field, or distant to it, that is referred to as far field enhancement. Now, some books use the term acoustic enhancement. To me, that's confusing because then it confuses with acoustic shadowing. So I try to use this acoustic when I'm referring to something that is dense. And I just use far field enhancement if I'm looking at something that is anechoic. Now, why is that important? Because if you look in a parenchymal organ, a liver, you're going to see hypoechoic areas. You need to determine if what you're looking at are actually masses or they're cysts. But you don't want to condemn a pet for liver masses when you're actually looking at the hepatic cysts. Everybody got that? So you look for those artifacts to determine, differentiate. Urinary bladder. So you see an area of echogenicity with a dark band toward the far field. Echogenicity with a dark band toward the far field. So that tells you that there's something dense. And because you see that it is the urinary bladder, you can say sonographically that this pet has calculi in the urinary bladder. We know that this is an anechoic structure because sound waves go through the anechoic structure all at the same speed, and then all of a sudden it hits the back part, and then it's returned back to the probe. So that's why you get all of that. The brightness, reflective or refractive changes is to the anechoic structure. So within the urinary bladder, there's a little hyperechoic structure. Everybody see that? A hyperechogenicity. Is that a mass? Could it be a polyp? Or is it a calculus? Is it a calculus or non-calculus? Because you don't have the acoustic shadow. And that's how you're going to tell if it's a mass in the bladder or if you're actually looking at calculi in the bladder. Another example of far field enhancement, this is liver, diaphragm, this is a transverse scan of the gallbladder. Everybody see the far field enhancement? So you know that that's an anechoic structure. And that's gallbladder because it's fluid filled with bile. Reverberation artifact and mirror image. Reverberation artifact are actually echogenic lines that we call comic tails and ring down artifacts, stating, showing, or demonstrating that you're looking at gas, a gas-filled structure. So the gas is moving, the sound waves hit the gas, and they're refracted and reflected as well, and then return back to the probe without any information. So why is that important? It's because if you're looking at a soft tissue echogenicity, and you see a bright area, well, you don't know if it's bright from fat, because fat is bright. I'm going to go back to that. Let me go back to this one. The schematic. Fat is echogenic on ultrasound. So just note that. Fat is echogenic on ultrasound. Radiograph will be very lucid. So fat is not our friend on ultrasound. Fat is echogenic. So I want to go back to the point about the reverberation. So if you see a bright area in a soft tissue echogenicity, you want to know if you're actually looking at gas or if you're looking at something that's bright or fat. Because of the movement peristalsis, you get these comic tail artifacts. A mirror image is when you see, and as we see it off the diaphragm, a mirror image is when you see the liver cranial to the diaphragm, not to be confused with the diaphragmatic hernia because of the mirror image. How the mirror image is formed is that when the sound waves come through the liver, course through the liver, hit the diaphragm, go into the lungs, it's reflected, right? Then it hits the diaphragm again. Then it hits the lungs again. Then it go back to the diaphragm. When they finally get back to the probe, what does it say? The liver is much further away than it should be because it took a long time to get back. So then it shows that the liver is cranial to the diaphragm. I'll show you what that looks like. This is an example of reverberation artifact. Looks like a waterfall. A beautiful waterfall. So these are comic tail artifacts. Mucosa, and then the liver is further cranial. Everybody understand that? Okay, so therefore, it looks this is why we use ultrasound to confirm diaphragmatic hernia. So you actually saw, that's a spleen here across the diaphragm. But when you talk about liver, don't be confused with this mirror image. Okay, so here's gallbladder. Here's diaphragm. And here's another gallbladder. Everybody got that? So there's a gallbladder that's cranial to the diaphragm. And that should not be. It's a mirror image. Okay, normal liver, these are the structures within the liver parenchyma. And I've already talked about the diaphragm as an echogenic structure, linear structure. Now, we're not actually looking at the diaphragm because the diaphragm is very thin. And so it too is actually an artifact. But for the sake of teaching, we're gonna call the diaphragm echogenic. But it's really an artifact that's causing the echogenicity. The liver is generalized heterogeneous, and the reason why it's heterogeneous, of course, is because of the portal veins and the hepatic veins. So you need to know the difference between the two. Hepatic veins and portal veins. Hepatic veins take the blood from the liver, where? To the column vena cava, and then where? To the right side of the heart. So if you have right side of heart failure, you're going to see dilation of the hepatic veins. The portal veins, the portal vein itself is intra-abdominal. And so it courses into the liver, right? And then it branches, and then you get this exchange of bad blood and good blood, and then it moves on for oxygenation. So the portal veins have echogenic borders. I don't care which one you remember, but you need to remember one. Because if you call a portal vein a hepatic vein, now you're going to give the dog hepatic congestion. And if you call a hepatic vein a portal, now you're going to give it portal hypertension. So you need to make sure which is which. I don't care which one. I like to memorize the portal, echogenic borders. And then I already showed you the falciform ligament kind of indicated in the dog. We talked a little bit about that. If you look at this image, the diaphragm is cranial, and so when you course caudally, you see this little tiny lobe that extends here, that's the left lobe. And then this circle, what do you think that circle might be? That's on the caudal margin of the liver. The stomach. You see the layers to it? So if you think about anatomy, so liver, stomach, and then you continue to move on with structures within the abdominal cavity. Central lobe, left lateral lobe, because you're scanning on the left side. Lateral incumbency, left side. And now you can see the layers of the stomach, and this is just ingested within the lumen of the stomach. Look at this structure, see the bright echoes? That's a portal. And what's this one? It's a hepatic. Can you see the difference between the two? Okay. Portal have bright margins, it's bright line, and the hepatic does not. Now keep in mind that the portal and the hepatics are running adjacent to each other. So when you're scanning, you might see a portal, then all of a sudden you might see a hepatic, because they're crossing each other. Okay, but just note that hepatics do not have marginal echoes, and portal veins do it because of the amount of fat around them. Gallbladder. So when you're scanning on Friday, I want to see the gallbladder as it touches the diaphragm. And then the caudal part is the gallbladder neck. And the reason why you want to see the gallbladder neck is because you want to look for biliary disease. That's where the bile ducts come in. So you don't want to do an abdominal scan, look at the gallbladder, without looking at the gallbladder neck. And around the gallbladder neck would be bright echogenicity, which is fat. Fat around the neck of the gallbladder. This is a good example of hepatic and portals. This is a beautiful example of a portal, correct? And then this part here is a hepatic. So now you can see the difference between the two, hepatic and portal. Hepatic and portal. Beautiful portals, hepatic. What is this one? What is this one? What is this one? Okay, this is a cross section of the liver, and you can see, you know that because the gallbladder runs as the cranial part and then the neck, so now you just cut it in abnormal liver, normal liver, hepatic vein. So you would describe this as hyperechoic, you can say diffuse echogenicity or diffuse hyperechogenicity of the liver parenchyma with multiple hypoechoic areas. Get that? Is it diffusely hyperechoic? Just look at this is your normal. Is it diffusely hyperechoic? Hyper. Is this brighter than this normal? Okay, can you see? Okay. Okay, how about this? You see this big area of brightness? You see this large area of brightness? Okay, that's hyperechoic compared to the normal. Do you see multiple hypoechoic areas within the liver parenchyma? Okay, are some of them hepatic cysts? Now, you can't say it could be. You got to say yea or nay. Because that could be dead. So you're going to look for areas with enhancement. Do you see any hypoechoic areas of enhancement? So this liver has both masses and hepatic cysts. And here's your hepatic cyst. See the bright? So this is a distant enhancement. And the rest of these indistinct hypoechoic areas are masses. So the cyst, you're going to look for distant enhancement, because it tells you the fluid field. And the mass itself is just going to be hypoechoic. Okay, question.
So you're saying abnormal liver will be hyperechoic or hypoechoic?
Hyper. Okay, look at, so this is liver. This is liver. So this area of the liver, would you say that this is more hyperechoic than the normal? Hyper. Okay, it have to be, okay, how about regional hyperechoic? Does that work? Regional, is it more hyperechoic than normal? Yes. If you look at this liver lobe is more hyperechoic than this. Would you agree with this then? Is there loss of normal parenchymal architecture? Yeah. Okay, and you get there, it's great. So when you say that, it's either got to be hyper or hypo. You can't be normal with a loss in architecture. Right? It can't be normal if you're telling me there's a loss of architecture. That it's not normal. So it's either got to be hyper or hypo. So you got to talk about echogenicity and you have to talk about architecture.
So on the image of the normal, that is hyperechoic and that is not.
No, this is a normal heterogeneous liver. This one is abnormal because it has areas of echogenicity or
So
hyperechogenicity
there's
in
areas
it.
of hyper, areas of hypo, and you want to say that the hypo is the abnormal area?
No, you would say, first of all, you would say, is the liver, is the structure abnormal? Yes. Is it hypo or hyper? And then within it, multiple hypoechoic areas within it. So you have to talk about the echogenicity, and then you have to talk about the architecture. All right, let's begin to some more. Okay, so you see this hypoechoic area? And you see these other hypoechoic areas? Masses are hypo as well.
Like we're not like right, but like we're not hypo. I thought that was the
Well, when you talk about a mass, masses are what? Aren't they soft tissue, ecotexture? So they would be hypoic. hyper would be mineralization, fat, etc. Go back to your diagram. So soft tissue is going to be hypo. So if you look at the liver itself is a soft tissue organ. So the mass is a soft tissue as well. And so now you got soft tissue on soft tissue. If the soft tissue was the same as the liver parenchyma, would you see it? No, it would be isoechoic. So the mass itself is more hypoechoic than the normal parenchyma of the organ. Okay, you got it now?
That makes sense, yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll get to the spleen and we'll talk about some. So for the spleen has a hyperechoic capsule, and the vessels enter the spleen from the periphery. Unlike the liver, the vessels enter at the hilus, but in the spleen is along the margin, and the spleen is more homogeneous in its architecture. So this is the diagram, and you see the numerous amount of vessels entering the periphery of the spleen. That's an example. Look at the parenchyma. The parenchyma of the spleen is more homogeneous, it's smooth in its ecotexture. Not like the liver, because it was heterogeneous and coarse. And the reason why it's heterogeneous is because of the portal veins and hepatic veins. So it's more homogeneous, and you can see the vessels, splenic vessels entering at the periphery of the spleen and branching cranial and caudal, just like the image says. So that's how you recognize the spleen. Sonographically, it has a bright capsule because of the fat around it. And then this is a cross-section of the splenic vein. So if you look at the spleen adjacent to the liver, look at the liver. The liver is more hypoechoic than the spleen. Is that normal? Yes, because it's SLK. So what we do is we put organs adjacent to each other to see which one is abnormal. Because if you just look at it, it's hard to tell visually. So we put one organ adjacent to the other to compare in its echogenicity. But for the architecture, it's supposed to be homogeneous for the spleen and heterogeneous for the liver. So if it doesn't look like that, now you can say that there's a change in the architecture. It doesn't look like it's supposed to look like. Okay.
Could you point out the spleen and the liver again?
So here's spleen, and here's liver. See the spleen adjacent to the liver? Do you see two different structures? So this is liver, and this is spleen. Question? Okay, so this is a normal spleen. This is an abnormal. Hypo or hyper? Is it hypo or hyper? It's hypo. It's their loss of architecture. Because it doesn't have the smooth homogeneity. And now you describe it as diffuse hypoechoic areas. I don't care how you describe it. But it's described as a lacy architecture. And the biopsy on that, and that's what lymphoma looks like. But you don't know that from an ultrasound. Just do an aspirate or biopsy. Typically for the spleen, we do aspirate because of this. It's the amount of blood within it. Okay, kidneys. Okay, kidneys. So we have some diagrams and things that you all need to look at. Kidneys, we scan kidneys in 3 planes: sagittal, dorsal, and transverse. Sagittal and dorsal are both longitudinal views. The reason why I'm going to explain it as dorsal and sagittal so that you can see the difference. But if someone called the dorsal plane a sagittal view or longitudinal view, they are also correct. So the sagittal plane looks like a football. The image The ultrasound beam goes from side to side. The dorsal plane, the ultrasound beam goes from dorsal to ventral or ventral to dorsal. It doesn't matter, right? Ventral to dorsal, dorsal to ventral. Just like you open up the kidney beam or the kidney and then transverse cross section. Okay, so what does that look like? I'm going to show you the picture. So this is the one, here's the beam, so it's going from side to side. And then this one is going from the top of the kidney to the ventral or dorsal to ventral. So on this view, this is a dorsal view. We'll come back to it. Dorsal. Dorsal. And that's from side to side. What we call the football view. So now take a moment and look at your samples. So this is a kidney. Dr. Bassett and I worked on these last night. This is a kidney. So if the beam goes from, as you know, this down here is ventral, this is up against the body wall. So if it goes from dorsal to ventral, just going straight through it, it's going to look like that. Right? If it goes from side to side, it's going to look like that. Now all you're doing is cutting the medulla in cross section. Side to side, side to side. Up and down, dorsal. And they're both called, I'm going to give it to you. Okay, just look at it. If you cut in the kidney from side to side, you cut in the pyramid in cross section. But if you go from top to bottom, you just cut it just like that. Okay. You look at it past it. Okay, so those are the planes of the kidney. So on the kidney, there's the cortex and then the medulla. The medulla is hypoechoic relative to the cortex. In the center of the kidney is the renal sinus, and in the renal sinus is fat. And you know that's not mineralization because there's no acoustic shadowing. So both the dorsal and the sagittal are both longitudinal views. So as you cut in the kidney from side to side and from dorsal to ventral. Both of them are still longitudinal. But I have to explain it dorsal so that you can get the difference between the two. So the dorsal view actually looks just like a kidney beam, and side to side look like a football view. Everybody got that? Okay, side to side. So you're actually looking at the medulla in cross section, and then these bright areas between the medullary pads, the medullary areas, would be vessels and fat. Vessels and fat. Okay, that's the kidney. And that's a transverse view or cross section of the kidney. So now you're just looking at the kidney in cross section, and this is just two parts of the medulla that you see that's hypoechoic. So the medulla is hypoechoic relative to the renal cortex. So for renal disease, you do the same thing. It's a hypo, has this, it's a loss of architecture. You can still recognize that that's a kidney, can't you? It's just hyperechoic. So the cortex and the medulla are hyperechoic. And usually when we say cortical echogenicity, we refer to glomerular disease. So if you got a disease that is causing an abnormality of the glomeruli, then the cortex should be hyperechoic. You know, not all the time. And then if the medulla is hyperechoic, because that's where the tubules live, then you're thinking about some type of tubular disease. And then whatever you look at on the image, you want to make sure you measure. So we measure the kidneys from cranial to caudal on the sagittal view. Questions?
Can you go back to the transverse view and point out?
Point out what? The transverse view? Is it a circle? So you would ask yourself, where's the other part of the kidney? Right? But there is no other part because you cut it in cross section. So it's a transverse view. Okay, so here is an example of a dilated renal pelvis. So where does the renal pelvis live? It lives right at the renal hilus. So if it's fluid filled, then you'll see it as an anechoic structure. Okay, so this is so look at the medulla. See, the medulla is less in hypoechogenicity? No. The medulla is more hyperechoic than the pelvis. So the pelvis is dilated with fluid. This is, look at this normal. So this is renal sinus, this is where the fat is. This is fat around it, and that's a dilated renal pelvis. How about that one? Very dilated renal pelvis in the center of the kidney. And then this one is just measuring how dilated the pelvis is from hypernephrosis. A renal cyst. Circular. From this view, it looks anechoic. But if you were looking at it in real time, you look for the distant enhancement. This would be the medulla, and this is cortex. Go ahead. On which one? Like, I don't know, which one? The renal cyst. Okay. When you, if I just showed you this view, you would say there's an anechoic circular structure. I do not see an enhancement, could be a renal mass. So I would show you one that's a cyst without enhancement. That would be kind of crazy, wouldn't it? So when you're scanning, you have to make that determination. If it's a cyst or if it's a mass. That's enhancement from the dilated pelvis.
How do we differentiate that from the sinus that you said is really bad?
Because it's not echogenic, it's anechoic. Because the renal sinus is where the renal pelvis lives, in the renal sinus. So if it's surrounded by fat and it dilates, it becomes fluid filled, then you look for the enhancement, which is a beautiful example here. And then of course, nephroliths, echogenicity with distant enhancement. Acoustic shadowing. Mineralization with acoustic shadowing, that tells you that there are calculi within the kidneys. I showed you a normal urinary bladder, anechoic structure. Bladder neck should be caudally, and this is one with a thickened bladder wall. Let's look at that one versus this one. Very thin margin, very thickened bladder wall. So what's the number one cause of thickening of the bladder wall? Cystitis. Bladder calculi. Everybody agree with that one? Beautiful. It's a large calculus with beautiful acoustic shadowing. How about this one? These are masses. So these are soft tissue areas. Do you see any acoustic shadowing from those? No. How about this one? This one has both, doesn't it? But it's a soft tissue ecotexture with mineralization within it. So that would be a bladder mass with mineralization, and that's bad. That's a sign of neoplasia, dystrophic mineralization. Prostate gland. Prostate gland is normally heterogeneous in its ecotexture. Of course, it's located at the neck of the urinary bladder. And sometimes, depending on how you're scanning, you can see the urethra, and we try to find the urethra as, of course, it's in the prostate gland. It is larger in intact males than in neutered males. So, in intact male, the prostate gland is going to be heterogeneous. In a neutered animal, it's going to be hypo hypoechoic. Makes sense, doesn't it? So it's hypoechoic in neutered pets, and it's heterogeneous in none. So here's the neck of the urinary bladder. Now, if you look at this circle, if it is hypoechoic in a neutered pet, it's going to blend in with the rest of the soft tissues. So you might not see it. That's why I just drew that circle. Can you, if you look at this one without the circle, the prostate gland would be within this area. Sometimes we see it as a little almond-shaped hypoechoic structure in a neutered pet. In an intact dog, here's the urethra. Everybody see that one? This is a beautiful one. See the urethra? See the prostate gland is heterogeneous. That's normal for an intact dog. Neutered, that's versus non-neutered. Mineralization, of course, anytime you see soft tissue mineralization, it's highly suggestive of neoplasia. So here's the normal prostate gland, almond-shaped hypoechoic structure, caudal to the neck of the urinary bladder. You see the urethra coursing through it. And this is one that is abnormal mineralization with acoustic shadowing. Great. Normal uterus. We talked about pregnancy before. So what does it look like? You don't see. You don't see the gestational sacs. We talked about this until 25 days on ultrasound. That's what they look like. Gestational sacs. We don't typically count them because there's so many. If you got 13 or 14, it's difficult to count the number because you may be counting the same one twice. So if you're going to be scanning for breeders, I suggest that you scan them in ventrodorsal so that you can look for one side and the other side. But typically we don't use to count, we use it to just confirm pregnancy. And that's, you can see the fetus within the gestational sac. Fluid field. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. This is the urinary bladder. If the pet is in dorsal recumbency, the uterus is now going to be in the far field. On its back, right? Okay. And then this is an example of pyometra, which is just a fluid field uterus. Again, it's going to be far field to the urinary bladder. The intestine, there are layers, and you can just take a moment and learn the layers. I suggest how you memorize it is you go from hyper to hyper. From the lumen is hyper because along the surface is where we see fat. And you go from hyper to hyper. So the largest part is going to be the mucosa, which is hypoechoic. And you see a mucosa on either side of the lumen. Everybody see the lumen? So then the mucosa, hypo, submucosa is hyper, muscularis is hypo, and serosa is hyper. So you can actually use ultrasound to evaluate for intestinal disease. Beautiful. Again, this is an example of enteropathy. I mean, obviously, there's corrugation of the mucosa surface. This is normal, and this is abnormal. I think I am. Intussusception is referred to as the target sign. Look at the intestine inside of the intestine. Very classic on ultrasound for the intussusception. Intussusception is easy. Everybody see that? Intestine, inside of the intestinal loop? And you can see how it invaginates? Okay. Actually, there's a little bit word out there. Okay, you can ask me all the questions you like. We're on the hour. Okay, so but you all can go. If you got questions, come up. I'll stay. Okay, so all set for the exam on Friday. It's at 10 o'clock. And there'll be images, but they'll be on slides. and all the questions, not all of them, but most of them will be like single men. And then you'll have to, all multiple choice.
How many questions?
I think there may be 50. Okay, questions?
I guess following up to the announcement that our class president had made, they said that our test can't be on Friday because we have a lecture on Friday, the final exam.
Right.
I
You
thought
can't
our final was just on musculoskeletal. Is there additional information?
No, your exam includes alternate imaging. Musculoskeletal alternate imaging. The rest of the, yeah, see, spine, distal spondylitis, and so musculoskeletal. Yes, not just limbs, skeletal.